Hey, Facebook, how you guys doing today? So I'll just go ahead and jump in here and get started. Um, so I wanted to bring some clarification, which surprises me that I need to. But so I think it was a couple days ago I posted an article to I want to say it was a Sports Illustrated. I'm not sure what it was, but some sports article, and the title of it was "Why Do Jack Nicklaus and Jay Cutler Not Have to Shut Up and Play?" Referencing the fact that so many people are telling black athletes who are standing with their arms crossed, whatever, some who are kneeling, to just shut up and play. And I had someone who actually had the gall to comment on this and give me pushback about this. And they commented that ultimately, well, they talked about it being political, which again amazes me because human justice is not political. I don't care if you're white or black or any whatever color you are. Injustice is not a political issue. It is a human being issue. Martin Luther King said it best when he said that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So if you want to sit there in your comfortable living rooms and pretend like all is right with the world everywhere, you're doing yourself a real disservice. Because the fact is, there are injustices that happen every day. So most of you know I'm a musician, and I've been working on some heavier songs. Over the last 10 years, I've been primarily focused on worship music, but I come out of a heavy metal, hard rock background. And so the last, a couple months, I've been kind of playing around with some heavier music, and I had put together a couple of demo songs, and one of those songs that I did was called "Life Going Down," and it's a heavy song, and the message is heavy, and it's just was really inspired by the craziness we see in the world. So I put together a concept video and sent it to post on a couple different Christian music places, or a couple of Christian music sites, and I got a message back from a Christian metal site that they took down the post because they said it supported BLM and it was a political post. Well, it really wasn't a political post, but there were a lot of clips. It was a graphic concept video, but there were clips of, quite frankly, police brutality. And all you have to do is go on YouTube and find it. There are lots and lots of clips of law enforcement officers who are acting in ways that are horrible and horrific. It happens in certain communities every day. The difference is most of us who are white, it doesn't happen to us, and so we don't have to pay attention to it. And we can pretend that it doesn't exist, but it does exist. And it's not a political issue. This isn't a Democrat issue or a Republican issue. It is a people issue. And I think it's a sad day in America when the church confuses the two and doesn't understand that we as believers have a responsibility to stand for injustice. Don't believe me? I'll give you a couple verses. Amos chapter 5, starting in 21 through 24. I despise your festivals. I take no delight in your solemn assemblies. Even though you offer me your burnt offerings and grain offerings, I will not accept them. Oh, I heard that there's no sound. Is that true? Hopefully you guys can hear me. The offerings of so even though you offer me your burnt offerings and grain offerings, I will not accept them. And the offerings of your well-being of your fatted animals, I will not look upon. Take away from me the noise of your songs. I will not listen to the melody of your harp. But let justice roll down like a river, or like waters, and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. Justice. Let justice roll down like waters. So God is saying, you know what? You can sing to me. You can offer me your burnt offerings. You can go to church every day. But if you ignore the injustice that is happening right outside your doorway, I don't want to look on it. Let justice roll down like waters, and righteousness like an ever-flowing stream. So that's in Amos. And, in Micah. Micah 6:8. He has told you, O mortal, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you? Here's what God requires of us. To do justice, to love kindness, and to walk humbly with your God. By the way, that is from the New Revised Standard Version of the Bible. Here's what God requires of us again. To do justice, to love kindness, or other versions, other translations translate that mercy, love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. You see, if we are believers in Jesus, if we're going to call ourselves believers in Jesus, we cannot sit in our living rooms and ignore the pain and injustice that is happening to our brothers and sisters of color. I have sat in conferences where pastors, black pastors, have stood up and shared the story of what they have to contend with every day and the pain that was pouring off of them. So I'm going to tell you, if you are a believer in Jesus and you're white, you don't get the luxury of telling these black athletes to shut up and play. You don't. You have a divine, spiritual commission by God to pursue justice, to seek justice, whether you like it or not. It's not an option. So I'm going to read something that probably many of you have not heard, because I hadn't read it before. But this is out of the book of Sirach. What is Sirach? It's S-I-R-A-C-H. That is from the Apocrypha, which is in the Catholic Bible. And it's unfortunate, I think, that Protestants completely ignore the Apocrypha, because there are good things in there. But I want to read from it. This is out of the book of Sirach, chapter 35, starting in verse 14. Do not offer him a bribe, for he will not accept it, and do not rely on a dishonest sacrifice. For the Lord is the judge, and with him there is no partiality. He will not show partiality to the poor, but he will listen to the prayer of one who is wronged. Did you catch that? He will not ignore the supplication of the orphan or the widow when she pours out her complaint. Do not the tears of the widow run down her cheek as she cries out against the one who has caused them to fall. The one whose service is pleasing to the Lord will be accepted, and his prayers will reach to the clouds. The prayer of the humble pierces the clouds. It will not rest until it reaches its goal. It will not desist until the Most High responds and does justice for the righteous and executes judgment. Indeed, the Lord will not delay, and like a warrior will not be patient until he crushes the loins of the unmerciful and repays vengeance on the nations, until he destroys the multitude of the insolent and breaks the scepters of the unrighteous, until he repays mortals according to their deeds and the works of all according to their thought, until he judges the case of his people and make them rejoice in his mercy. His mercy is as welcome in times of distress as the clouds of rain in times of drought. You see, justice is a biblical issue. It's not a political issue. It's just not. And we've got to stop thinking like that. See, the enemy has deceived the church into thinking that things can be divvied up into conservative political positions and liberal political positions for followers of Christ. But they can't. Okay? Jesus was not a liberal nor a conservative. He overturned the order of the world completely. And that's what we are supposed to be. We are supposed to be counterculture. Those are not my words. That is not my opinion. That is the truth of God as revealed in Holy Scripture. This person who commented earlier on my post, or me sharing that article, made the comment that people are just tired of having race shoved down their throat and being told that they are racist, bigoted, and intolerant. Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you this, and I believe this is true. If you are willing to ignore the plight of your brother and sister of color, whether that's African American, whether that's Latino, whether that's Asian, doesn't matter what color it is. If you're willing to sit in your living rooms and ignore their plight, then you are racist, you are bigoted, and you are intolerant. Get over yourself. This is not a political issue. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Period. If that's your mindset, if your mindset is these people just need to shut up and play, then you need to seek God. And you need to renew your mind. How? By transforming it. No, you can't transform it. By allowing the Holy Spirit to transform it. Because I'm going to tell you, you're wrong. You just are. These people have a platform. If I had a platform and something was happening to my family, to my loved ones, to my community, and I had a platform to be able to bring that news to people, to make them aware of it, it would be completely irresponsible of me to sit on my hands and be silent while it happens. Because here's the thing, it isn't about them, I hear it all the time. Well, if I did this at my job, I would get fired. Here's the thing, they work for the NFL, and the NFL says, you know what, it's okay. Their bosses are saying, yes, you make a stand. Matter of fact, their bosses, finally, a little bit late than never, but this year especially, they figured it out, and they are supporting them 100%. Guess what? If you wanted to protest at your work and your boss said, go ahead, and the owner of the company said, go ahead, you could do it, and you wouldn't get fired. These athletes have the support of their bosses and the owners of the company to bring attention to the injustice that is happening in their communities. And a lot of you people say, well, they don't go into their communities, and you've done no research, because the thing is, they do go into their communities. They do start social programs. They do give back to their communities, but they don't blare it all over the news, because it isn't about that. It's about social justice. It's about lifting up the communities that they come out of. Do all of them do it? Probably not, but a great many of them do. I know, because we've seen it happen in our own church. I'm an associate pastor at a church on the west side of Indy, and we had a former Colts player who started a program for after-school kids that we've had in our preschool, and it was very successful, teaching things like character and responsibility. Do some research, because if you do, you'll find that all those things that you want to talk about, they are going out in their community. They are making a difference. And they're not blaring it on the news, because it's not about them. It's about their communities. It's about giving back. We have a responsibility to support them. And I'm not going to quit talking about it. I hope you guys don't quit talking about it. So just understand, let me be clear, that is my stance on this stuff. And I'm going to continue to be adamant about it moving forward. And, if you don't want to hear it, if you don't want to read it, then just kind of move on. If you disagree, fine. You have every right to disagree, just like I have every right to speak the truth as I see it. And I have a responsibility to speak the truth as I see it. But, to me, I'm tired of having this argument. I want us to move forward as a country. Our country is so divided, and it's this kind of stupidity where we still have to talk about, is justice is justice a political issue or a human being issue? It's a human issue. We shouldn't be having these. We should be beyond this. In a country that has the freedoms that America does, we should be beyond this argument. And we should understand that what hurts my brother and sister hurts me. We got to do better. Do better. Be better. God bless.